So welcome everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Airwalk. This is my Ask Ivy show where I take your questions and I deliver out messages from spirit. Anything goes. Personal questions, salty, paranormal, curious, and spiritual about your health, your wealth, travel, investments, relationships, deceased loved ones that you may want to speak to. All right, anything will go here. I don't limit whatsoever, but I do ask that you include the name. The first name is enough, or the initials of whoever it is that you're referring to. It helps me speed up the process. $5 gets you the short answer. $10 gets you the long answer. The payment options are up in the description, or you could check below depending on where you're tuning in. If you're on Instagram or TikTok, Kim, my beautiful producer, is posting the payment options in the comments section. I do want to ask everyone to please give this video a thumbs up at this time. Please do subscribe and drop a comment of any kind. It helps me out in the algorithm, and I really do appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Also, we are limiting 2 questions per person, okay, for this show. All right, we have a $10 question from Maraid. Maraid wants to know, hi, Ivy, what does my love life look like over the next couple of months? Okay, Maraid, the next couple months love life. You know, I see you talking potentially to someone. I feel like there may be past life history here. He feels bigger to me, taller. I think I'm pushing 6'1", so wider. He has the potential to be plump. He has the build to be beefy. He may have been thin as a kid, which is interesting, but he looks like the type of person that would have always been husky. So I think it's cute. I think you're going to think it's cute. He may have a little bit of a belly, or, you know, it's almost like a looming belly. But he's actually quite fit. Okay. So I see this person like playing basketball. I mean, not like professionally or anything, but, you know, for shits and giggles and enjoying being active, very into nature, hiking. I see fish. That can mean that he fishes or he enjoys being out in nature in like that fishing type atmosphere. And he may have at one point even done that a little bit more competitively, like, you know, maybe a catch and release, which isn't great. But maybe like he learned, you know, I'm going to catch my dinner, you know, like what I catch, I'm going to be eating. I'm not going to injure an animal and then toss it back in the water to die of infection. You know what I mean? So I think he's better in alignment with those types of things at his age now, but he does seem to be pretty connected as a whole to community, the concept of being one with the universe, feeling in alignment with himself and nature. And these are really good positive signs of someone who has some intuitive intelligence, some emotional intelligence, and is able to understand through empathy others. Okay, so that's what he's bringing to the table. And money. And he's good in bed. You're happy with this. It looks good. I mean, there's music. I hear music. I don't know where you guys are going. I don't know if this is like a jazz club, if this is like a blues club, if this is like this band is playing, that band is playing. He's a little bit in his head. He's kind of all over the place. It's almost like I got drums over here. I got cymbals over here. I got this guitar playing over here. It's like Radiohead. He's got a lot of music and a lot of action thoughts, you know, so very busy mentally. I think that what may happen here is that you guys are going to listen to a lot of bands. You're catching a lot of live music. You know, you're kind of doing something that's not too fancy or expensive or any major tattoo, but it's a lot of fun and it's intriguing. You know, doing anything like that is always going to inspire and feed the soul. Okay. And I think you guys are really enjoying each other's company. So there's a lot of that going on. But I feel like when you guys are out, it's like he only sees you. You know, he may know a lot of people too. So he has a lot of friends, which is refreshing to see. he has a lot of friends. He has a lot of acquaintances. He's kind of like, everybody knows him, you know, he's a good guy. But he only has eyes for you, you know, no matter where you guys are. And so it's this nourishing thing for you. If you have felt that in previous relationships, it fell flat and you were not only not the center of attention, you weren't even really taken into consideration at all. You know, this is going to be a completely different ball game. So I see that coming in potentially within the next 2 months, in particular in the second month out from now, but you really have to make yourself very available, okay? Or it could pass you by and then not show up again for another ballpark 7 to 8 months. So get out there. All right, thank you, Maraid. We're going to move on to another one. This is from Edgar. This is a $10 question. Edgar says, do you see my friendship with Jennifer continuing to deepen during the new 3 months? We talk a lot at work. Do I see the friendship continuing to deepen with Jennifer? I think that the upcoming month, yes. I think in the second month, it could hit a bit of a wall. If you are very distracted with something else, and there's nothing wrong with being distracted with your own life, but you seem to be possibly tied up in something that month, where you're kind of robotic in the way that you're dealing with her. You're probably doing this with everybody, but she may notice it and pull away a bit and be like, okay, well, it is what it is. I'm gonna sort of leave them alone a little bit, you know? And I think we all do that. I think that whenever we're talking to someone and they're not really like, they're not there, you know, something's up with them. We don't want to pry. We don't want to push. It's not really our business. And so we just have a way of detaching and let that person come to you, you know, when they want to talk more or hang out or whatever. It really doesn't feel like a big deal to me. I don't think it's any type of damage that would happen in the relationship. I do want to say, though, you know, that could be an opportunity for you to, let's put it this way. If you find that you're the type of person who's always there for everyone else, you're like everyone's cornerstone. And when somebody needs to talk, you're like, I'm here to listen. And, you know, you're the shoulder to cry on. But when something's going on with you, you never put it out there. You know, you isolate, you detach, you wall people out, you become robotic in the way you handle people. You know, you put on a mask, you put on a fake face. If you are looking at this stage in your life to get out of that, and even if you're not, I would shove myself out of that if I were you. This could be a great opportunity for you to share more with her. The only thing is, I don't really have her asking. She doesn't seem to, you know, some people are like that. She may have like Capricorn or something in her chart where, you know, they just don't really, they don't ever go there. Everything is just kind of business, you know, and so there's a lack of emotional outpour or invitation. So maybe you just choose to share regardless, you know, but I think that would be a good time for you to share and, you know, see if that friendship can deepen a little bit because you're using it as an opportunity not only for intimacy, but for your own personal vulnerability and to see what she can offer in a moment like that, you know? So I would take it. I would take it if I were you. I do think that after that, regardless of what you do, the relationship seems to just sort of pick up and, you know, be able to continue to evolve as she becomes then the person between the third and the fourth month who's going through something. And I think that she does a little bit better with the sharing, you know, but in any type of relationship, even with acquaintances at some point, you know, we do reach a need to share a little bit more, to get a little more vulnerable, to deepen that intimacy a little bit more. And it is a valuable thing for sure, if we can do it. All right, we're going to move on to another question from, this is from Devin Romanoff. And is this a $5 or is this a $10 question? Let's see. This is a $5 question. Okay, thank you. And so this is from Devin Romanoff. Blessings to you. Blessings to you too, Devin. Thank you. My question tonight is, how do I accept when people don't want to talk to me? I lower my value for people that I care about, like Gerson. If they don't want to talk, why do I? Well, you're filling some type of void within yourself, and you just fully explained it here where you wrote, I lower my value for people I care about. You are masking your lack of self-esteem and self-respect. You're masking it as love. You're masking it as caring about others. When we don't care about ourselves, when we disrespect ourselves, we tend to go to either victimhood, and there's a little of that here too, right? Martyrdom, there's a little of that here too. Or what we call in the spiritual community, wounded healer syndrome, which means I love these people, I care so much about others, I continue to show up for them, and I continue to give to them, and I continue to overreach, and I continue to cross boundaries I shouldn't, and I care for them more than they care for me, and I give more than I'll ever get back, and da-da-da-da-da. And you are really masking the fact that you have healing that needs to be done in areas, and I can't prescribe or diagnose, but like codependency, like an inability to understand how to set and maintain healthy boundaries with yourself, with others. So instead of looking to other people and trying to figure out how you could do more in regards to them, figure out how to handle them, just stop. You need to be looking inward. This is an inside job. They actually have nothing to do with this. They could be a rock, they could be a dog, they could be a lamppost, they could be anything, right? It's not about them, it's about you. And they're simply a tool that's being used by the universe to show you what you're not handling within yourself. So look at things like, again, voids, low self-esteem, lack of knowledge on setting boundaries and maintaining boundaries, codependency, and this concept of masking a lack of self-respect and self-care as being a giver and a lover. Okay, so victimhood and martyrdom. I would start there, and the rest will just fall away naturally. Okay, thank you, Devin. We have another one coming here from Deb Basil. This is I have to see, so Kim, when you pop up the questions, I have to see like whether it's a 5 or a 10, or I don't even know where I'm going from there. So that's the first thing I need to see. Okay, so this is a 10. Thank you. If you could put it all together, that would be awesome. Or at least once I read it off, just pop it right up. Okay, so we've got a $10 from Deb Basil. Can you contact my mother who passed away 22 years ago? Okay, so if you guys are dropping questions, it speeds up the process for me for you to include a first name. Okay, and if you have a private question, you don't want to put the name, at least put the initials. Okay, it speeds up the process because I got like 50 mothers in here. So, all right, so Deb Basil, mom. Okay. When your mom comes in here, she makes me feel like, first of all, she is coming from the left side of the family, which is the maternal side. And it can also represent that she was herself a matriarch. She may have held the family together, or it may have felt like she was the go-to person to talk to, the support. I also feel like she went through a lot, so she may have dealt with a lot financially. She may have dealt with a lot of losses, a lot of having to finagle things. How much of this you were aware of, I'm not sure, but there is an energy here of steal from Peter to pay Paul. You can't get blood out of a rock. How am I going to make things work? She was a tough cookie. And what she's talking about with you today is bringing in healing to your heart. She's bringing in some healing to what seems to be a heaviness in your heart. I feel like you haven't either there wasn't a proper goodbye here between the two of you, or there seems to be some type of a disconnect in the communication. You seem to not be feeling like you're communicating with her clear enough on a regular basis. Now, that's not on her. She does come through. She comes through in dreams. She's coming through in animal totems. We've got wings, a lot of wings. So like butterflies, right? Birds. She comes through in numbers as well, numerology, catching you on the clock. I see 3, I see 311, I see 315. She's using a lot of patterns with you. Aside from showing up in real time in the dreams like that for communication. So just keep open to hearing from her and asking more questions of her instead of being like, oh yeah, I do feel like that came from her. Ask more of what she's trying to tell you and sit in her energy and her message for like 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. That's mediumship at its best. And I think that this idea of healing your heart, removing some heaviness, may be coming from what feels like a bit of isolation you may be experiencing, whether you're feeling dissatisfaction in your relationships, not completely dissimilar to what Devin had just asked a couple minutes ago, where it's kind of like you feel like you're not getting back, like you put a lot out, but you don't really get it in return. And you're starting to recognize it. And while you've made excuses for it in the past, the last 2 years, it's really come to a head where you're like, I don't know how much longer I can do that for. She's helping you through that process, but also because she mentioned money, resources, having enough, being worried about maybe the future resources and foundation and how to make ends meet is how she had said it. Now, these are things like I said earlier, maybe you weren't aware as a kid, maybe she didn't burden you with these things, but it did go on. She did learn how to master resources. And I feel like that's where you are right now. And she's assisting you also in this process so that you can feel very confident that you are the source. You are your own resource, not banks, institutions, bosses, shared income. You are becoming more autonomous, more independent, and more powerful, right? Queen of Swords. You're becoming this, but you've got like another 1.5 years in this process and 3 years total to go. And so it could feel like a long, dirty journey right now, or like you're kind of in a bit of a treading water space with a couple different things. I also feel like you're talking a lot. You feel like you're not being heard. You're not being seen, okay, in some situations. And she's helping you through that as well. She just wants you to know you're special, you're worth being heard, and you're worth receiving love back. Okay, you're going to be making some changes in these areas. She loves you very, very much. She's also giving a red rose, which is a birthday or anniversary right around this time. This can also be a passing anniversary. Take it how it resonates. And I feel like also to a younger male. All right, thank you. Are we moving on to, okay, this is Janelle. Janelle's on Facebook. I would love to hear right now, if everyone could just drop in the comment section, where are you tuning in from? Okay, and if everyone could also share this video, that would be great. Give it a thumbs up. I love hearing where you guys are from. All right, so we've got Janelle on Facebook is asking a $10. Janelle, what is next for me in my career? Well, you seem to be moving up the ladder, but it's like you're shoving someone's head down. It reminds me of like the Titanic when and I'm not saying anything's going horribly wrong. You're fine, but it's sort of like in the Titanic, there were people panicking and they may have been lovely individuals until the ship sank, and then it was like no one cared. They didn't even see the other human beings as people, right? And they were shoving their heads down to use them as floaty devices. So anyways, I see you entering into a period of time. This may have already started, right in the last like 1.5 months, 2 months or so, where you're kind of pushing other people's heads down. And I think this represents people who don't deserve to be in their positions anyways, people who are below you anyhow, people who essentially can't swim well, and it's like you can. So you're taking what's rightfully yours and you're doing it unapologetically, almost cold-heartedly. And I think you need to be. I think it's, whether you're fully identifying that this is going on or not, this is what you're being called to do in this time, is to go after what's yours. Okay. So try to think of it that way, that you're not looking to survive anymore. You're looking to thrive. And people who are weak or people who don't deserve it around you, you may be exceeding them, going beyond them. I also get this impression that you're not waiting anymore for things like a promotion or for a boss to give you permission or, you know, for someone to give you the approval. It's like you're taking it. Okay. So anything new you're planning on doing in leadership, communications, organization, project management, entrepreneurship, consultant work, business ownership, CEO, whatever, even partnerships are an option for you in the upcoming 3 years. Now, not all that glitters is gold, of course not, okay? But could there be a couple valuable partnerships that you could get involved in? Yeah, I think you could. You could also be feeling more like they're investments instead of you fully seeing them as partnerships. I think that what you need to be looking at right now is your life if you haven't booked a life contract reading with me before, it takes an hour. It's up on my website, but we can look at what you signed on to do before you came to Earth and your 5 to 6 different pivotal points. These are your major level up opportunities. It matches Vedic or Western astrology and numerology charts. So essentially you are entering into a period, I keep hearing crisp, of almost like, you know, when the leaves get crisp, the air gets crisp, everything gets crispy in fall, autumn. It's like you're entering into a shift like that. And, you know, you may be rebuilding a whole new foundation for yourself where you are actually in the power position once and for all. With this, I also see, with all the other things that I talked about, the leadership and everything, I also see mobility, okay, which is interesting. So it's very possible that with your career, like up until now, you really maybe didn't feel trapped, but you definitely didn't have a lot of mobility, just even because of time constraints. But it's like you have mobility and you have freedom. So it's freedom of schedule, freedom of location, freedom to go and do, you know, your work the way you want to do it, when you want to do it, and even where you're headed with whom, you know, you want to do it. So know your skill set, know how valuable it is, and market yourself. Okay. Absolutely. Very exciting. Okay, we're going to move on to Lynette. This is a $10 question. So Lynette wants to know, what should I go to college for? Lynette, let me take a look at your life contract. You've got speech, in particular, education, teaching. You have some engineer's mind, which is how systems fit together. So this could also be musically gifted, or even teaching things like art or music, or teaching something, you know, that's a little bit off the beaten path in that way. And then you have the sciences, in particular biology. So these are the strong points in your life contract, with the sciences being set apart a bit. I think that what you may want to do is marry these worlds and get yourself a degree in something where you can heal others, you can communicate a lot, you could show people how to do things for themselves, especially through things like patterns, or, you know, how to build and create something, any artistic outlet, like I said, and how that brings healing also to the individual. This is really about self-development. This is about helping people with their own self-development and realization. I think that you could also use it in or toward like companies. So if you're trying to help a company to create what they need to do from the bottom up, like massive projects, or, you know, anything in that would work. I think that ultimately you have a lot of ideas in your head, and when a problem is laid out before you, or the absence of something that needs to be created is there, your brain just starts creating it, you know. You're like a whole army of ants, you know, within yourself. And so you're going to create, you know, this big anthill, this masterpiece, and it can end. It could just be like, this project is done, it's wiped out, it's over with, and just build again, and another one, and another one, and another one. You're really, really strong in that. You could, it's very lucrative for you. You can make a ton of money in that. Okay, as well. I do think that it's important for you to not dismiss, because some of these things sound a little more mainstream. And then we have the arts coming up with you. And I think it's really important for you, because it's in your life contract, not to dismiss the artistic element. The artistic part of your brain, the musical and creative part of your brain, is part of the engineer's mind. Okay, so that can go in several different directions. But if you don't feel like you're creative in your work, if you're not in a position of power, if you're being squelched and told what to do all the time, you're going to lose your mind and you're going to waste your money. So stay out of that. Feed the creativity aspect, okay? Because it's going to be easy to dismiss. All right, thank you. We're going to move on to, we have another one here from Edgar. This is a $10. Okay, so Edgar says, what good things or blessings are coming to me during the summer? Okay, great question. During the summer for Edgar, what is coming up? You know, I see some, I thought it was a beach ball, but now it looks like a volleyball. So if you were thinking of taking up something like getting on a volleyball team, you know, for sport, I live 2 blocks from the beach. This is all beaches all through here. And there are a ton of teams, and they party like really hard. It's fun to watch. I think that getting involved in something physical is going to be a great idea for you. Now, this seems to be coming up more. I'm hearing July and August. So I don't know, go get on a team, maybe, you know, or go horse around and see, you know, and you don't have to be good at it. Although it looks like you are. Like I see you spiking it. And it reminds me of, like, what was that? Meet the Fockers, or like Meet the Parents. Just like you void backward on your face. It's like you're knocking people out, you know, you're pretty good. I think that it's surprising to you to see maybe how good you are, but also how much you're enjoying being with these other people in this capacity, you know, because you may have neglected for a while. I'm hearing 3 to 4. Could it be 3 to 4 months? It could. I was going to say the last 3 to 4 years. Take it how it resonates. But it's almost like you neglected your physical drive and how good that feels to bring to the surface with other people, with a team of people, you know. It's an adrenaline rush. It's tons of fun. So anyways, I see that. And then I see some money coming in. I see some money coming in before that, during that, and then it's like 3 maybe weeks after that. So we have money coming in also. When I see money drop from the sky, this is symbolic, and it's bills. It's not coins, it's bills. So it's big money. It's meaning it's the kind of money that can last. It's the kind of money that you could use for investment. It's the kind of money that will be there long term. It's not just like one check or one payment, you know, it's long term. So with that happening 3 times, it looks like these are opportunities. These aren't guarantees. And it's coming from the top, which is also your free will zone. This is your future, guaranteed. This stuff's going to happen. This stuff is up to you, what you do with it. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. Depends on whether you take it. I don't know that you love all of these offers, but you are at least considering these offers. So this would be like a promotion at work, an increase in your pay, obviously, but also your title. And that in itself seems to be leading to other opportunities for your career. So if you take that level up, especially that first one, the second one's a little debatable, but I think you'll probably take that as well. And then the third one, I'm not sure. I think that's dependent upon these other 2. Or at least one of those, at least the first one it is. So say you do it and you do really well, you could find yourself out of your old cycle of work, okay, just from these. So there's good stuff going on there, okay, but it is in a free will zone. So can't give 100% guarantee on what happens with that. Too many hands in the pot. Oh, that's okay. I can read between the lines. Edgar said, sorry, it was a typo. I meant next, not new. Yeah, I know. I don't even edit anything. When I text, I'm like, you know what? We're all adults. Either they're going to figure it out or they're not going to figure it out. I'm not editing everything with autocorrect. It's not worth the time. It really isn't. I think everyone's learned to read through autocorrect. Okay, let's move on to another one. If you guys are tuning in late, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment of any kind. I really do want to hear where you guys are tuning in from. And $5 gets you the short answer. $10 gets you the long answer. If you want a private reading, go to my website, Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. And if you want to learn how to do this psychic mediumship work, you can go to psychicmediumshipcourse.com. I do train people in this. Everyone can do it. It is not a gift. It's an innate ability. Okay, we have another one coming here from Maraid. Okay. So Maraid, this is a $5 question. Maraid wants to know, hi, Ivy, a follow-up from my earlier question. How should I make myself available to be able to meet this person that you mentioned? Okay. So let me go back into where that was. You know, I get the sense of being in an active area like a gym, you know, or a place where maybe sports are going on. So I would say anything ranging from the gym to a sports bar, which is kind of like, oh, who wants to go out for a drink at a sports bar? But I don't know, this guy. Okay, so hey, it is what it is. Sometimes there are cute boys there, you know, that could be fun. I think that what you're doing is not really necessarily feeling the atmosphere of where you are. Like, it doesn't feel like a romantic environment by any means, as much as you are just sort of in a social, you know, moment, or you're feeding your soul, you know, you're feeding your physical health and wellness, you know, you're in sort of this wellness mentality. It's not a romantic energy. And I think that can really help in this case, because this person isn't Mr. Romance. You know, he's not coming in on a white horse and like getting down and like trying to, you know what I mean? He doesn't have a rose in his mouth. He's not trying to, you know, make you swoon. He's kind of logical and a little raw and just sort of like matter of fact. And it's like, okay, you know, we're having a conversation about like the environment and things that are going on, and like politics comes up at one point, or like current events, and it's just like, I don't know, just facts and figures and things like this. And then it's like, that was a very I think opening yourself up to having longer conversations is going to help with this person. So you are at that gym, available to communicate, maybe standing in one spot for a longer period of time. You know, we used to, when I was a personal trainer, we would stand up in the balcony and we would watch and examine and tease and like watch people try to pick each other up. And we would say, like, they only come to the gym to look good, to have sex, to make more little people, to go to the gym to look good, to have sex, to make more people, to go to the gym to look good, to have sex. It was funny to watch how they did it. One of the things is always like sort of standing by the machine, you know, you get off the machine and you're like stretching, you're having your water and you're checking your phone and you're stand still. I think you need to stand still and make yourself a little more available, you know, for someone to approach. You seem to be pretty fast about the way you do things. And when there's conversation between you and someone else, you seem to be pretty fast to get in and get out. So you want to lead into more, okay? If this encounter is happening at something like the bar, for example, stay where you are and bring up other conversations. I know this sounds boring, but I'm even seeing like math, and I don't know, talk of money, you know, and things like that. So take it in very normal directions. And then he may feel more secure about asking, whether it's like for your phone number or asking you out officially. He may feel more secure about that if the conversation was respectable. Okay. Okay, good luck, but that's how you make yourself available. Yeah. And that'll work for anything. Okay. Thank you. Camille Parker, this is a $5 question. Let's see. Camille says, hi, Ivy. Do you see me making it to full-term pregnancy? Well, I can't prescribe or diagnose, but I do. I mean, it seems, okay, here's the thing with kids. I call it the kid contract. They control when they're going to come through. Okay. And then they control even how they come through. And that goes right up into the time of even the birth. And so you can have with this pregnancy almost this feeling of like a threat of it being early. Like I'm going to go into labor earlier, even maybe the doctor or someone is saying, you know, preterm, or, I mean, it really doesn't feel like that big of a deal. I mean, we're talking a matter of like 4 weeks or something. I don't think it would be anything catastrophic, but there could be talk of early. And then it's like, okay, then why is this child late? It's like at some point they just decide, never mind, I'm never going to come out, and they can do that. That's up to them, you know? So it's debatable on how that point is going to go. Regardless, to me, it does look full term. Yes. Okay. But again, they have their free will and they can do whatever they want. You had that choice. I had that choice, and the kids have that choice. So we don't take that personally, and we just do the best that we can. And we understand they're on their own journey and we can't control that. Okay. So we'll see, but yeah, I feel good about it. Congratulations. We have another one here from a chica on TikTok. Hello. And this is a $10 question. And Chica wants to know, anything new coming for me? Well, I feel like there are some new things coming for you. I do feel like you need to be a little more open to them. I think you need to have your eyes open. I think you need to be willing to take. You seem to say like, I don't want that, or I'm not looking for a change in this area because I don't want disruption to my pattern. And that could be work related, you know? So I see new work opportunities coming in, opportunities to bring in more resources, opportunities to use your speech, your leadership through communication, your ability to be more creative and to work with other creative people. So we have some of that coming in. There may also be some type of project coming to you. So if people were to say, do you want to come over here and do this thing with us? I'm not saying it's volunteering or it's nonprofit necessarily, but it does have this sort of community feel to it. And it does feel almost artistic in a lot of ways. I think that there could be some new outlets like that also coming in. I see that there could be some shifts also in a romantic partnership. Seems like you could find yourself letting go of an old negative pattern, a toxic pattern, where you have not necessarily felt fulfilled, but you did absolutely feel obligated to stay for some reason, and your tolerance was way higher than what it should have been. Sometimes we go through a period of time where we're turning red flags pink, or we're collecting red flags, and we don't make a big deal out of it. And, you know, we think, well, you know, I love this person, or I can give, so I guess I should, or I don't need much. And then one day you realize you did it wrong. Okay. And so you're not where you're supposed to be, and you're not getting anything back. And you set that tone because you allowed for these things. And it's like you're shedding that. I'm not saying that's just with one relationship. It's clearly a pattern. It's a lifelong pattern. So probably with everybody, but I think that you coming out of that, mentally shifting and adjusting for the upcoming month or so, it's like you're processing this on a daily basis. You're certainly processing this in the sleep state, in your dreams. We would say you're wrapping up karma in this area. I think that what's really going on here is that you are entering into a period of time where manifestation law of attraction can kick in, because you've cleared this out, right? So you're making room for the new. And with this block removal, let's say, I feel higher vibrational love coming to you. And I do feel you dealing with someone who seems like an active listener and highly intelligent. And I'm just talking like IQ, just highly intelligent, but also able through the engineer's mind to piece things together, meaning what you're saying and activities that are going on, and then come up with a solution and like make it better, to make it work. People like that can make anything work. And, all of that doesn't mean anything if the person has no initiative to do it. If they have no will to do it, that's all a waste. But this person does, and so there's a lot of drive to make you happy, to make the communication there great, and to build something. So that's also coming up in this. Yeah. Good things. I would also say that this may be a time when you could put some money in the bank, or if you were trying to do something different with your residency. So we're talking upgrades to the residency. We're talking investment in any way surrounding like real estate or land or plans toward that even. There could be more of that coming in as well. Looks good. All right, thank you. We have another one here from a Tony Ramos. This is a $10. Tony wants to know, will my family finally be able to see my 5-year-old daughter soon? It's going to be a year in June since they haven't. I feel like, unfortunately, it may not happen in June. Could it? It's possible, but it feels up in the air right now, and it feels like we may be going out a little bit further than that. So I want to say that I'm looking 3 months. Could it be 3 weeks? Possibly. But I'm getting a 3 with this. So it feels like out a little bit further. It's still, regardless, not far out. I'm not reaching out years into the future. I mean, I'm literally like picking straws here, like splitting hairs or whatever this, it's right here. It's not bad. But I do think that there's some work that still has to be done, whether it be paperwork, discussion. It seems like it should be so simple, like get it scheduled and, go have this time together. But it's like, has to be approved. So this could be like a judge getting involved, and or this paperwork that I saw, like there's paperwork tied up. And then the paperwork is like sitting for a while. And this is what may have just happened. I'm getting this within the last like 1 to 2. This could be ballpark 1 to 2 months. It could be paperwork that sat, and unfortunately you can't go get it. It's not for you to do. It's for you to push. It's for you to keep showing up. It's for you to give reminders, and you can make phone calls, but you can't move that paperwork. And that's what we're entering into, is all of this stuff shifting. Okay. And so, yeah, I think that it will. I see a judge's, not the mallet. I see like a stamp of approval, like the judge's decision or the judge's name, like stamped onto what looks like some type of a contract and agreement. Now that may later on need to be renegotiated, so I don't know how far out that goes. I would be surprised if it exceeds like 6 months. Maybe it will. Maybe it'll be 6 months to a year. There could be renegotiation with that. I wouldn't worry about that. But I do think that, you need to, it's sort of like at this point, do whatever you need to do to get that going. Okay. Also, I'm hearing compromise. Do we compromise or do we not compromise? If you've been pushing your agenda pretty hard in making clear that this is unfair, that this is wrong, that this is too little, it's not enough. It's not enough time, whether it be with your daughter, or it's not enough time for her to be able to be with your family. Like, it's not enough. If you've been saying, I'm showing how inappropriate this is, and also how someone maybe like mom is preventing it from happening. So there's exposure, and then there's pointing out how inappropriate this is. time-wise, I think you need to not back down from any of that. Okay. And if you find that the representative or your lawyer or whoever is not saying enough, don't be shy to kind of raise your hand, whether you're in court or you're just pushing them harder. Okay. But this is not the time to back down, because it seems like at some point everyone just kind of took a nap. They're just kind of like, breeze on through. This is how it's going to go. This is how it goes. And it's like, well, this is my case. And so that's not how it's going to go. It's going to go my way. Okay. But yeah, it'll work out. I'm sorry to hear you're going through that. That's a long time. For sure. Okay. Elena, this is a $10 question. Elena wants to know, do I continue with my spiritual business or do I focus on my writing? I heard both and then a third thing. So I guess I'll just look at these two. I don't really think it's a one or the other deal with you for a while. Okay. It feels like for the next few years, you may be very tempted to do that. Like, I'm either doing this or I'm doing this. And I don't always think that you're fully seeing your life contract. Again, you could book life contract reading at any time. It's up on my website. Okay. What did you come to Earth to do? But I think that you don't understand how closely connected these two are, almost like the spiritual business is feeding the writing. Okay. Like, it gives material over here. And so the solution for you, I think right now, is to bring in more time to focus on the writing. Almost like if you have an outline, if you have an idea of how much time you want to be spending on it per day or per week. Okay. But nothing, per week is acceptable, but you should not be exceeding that. Okay. Like every 2 weeks or every month. No. You need to have more regular practice in here with completing your writing task. But I think you need to narrow it down. It's like, what are we talking about here? Which project are we talking about? Where is the outline and which project are we talking about? And I think that if you do just the writing, you're going to feel unfulfilled. You're going to feel pressure. You're going to feel unfulfilled. You're going to feel maybe like it's not going anywhere. It seems to fall flat. Now, just because that's happening right now doesn't mean that's going to be the story with your writing for the rest of your life. That is just a current theme. And again, I think it's because you're supposed to be learning balance. So the bigger lesson in your life is whatever karmic lesson is being shown to you at that time. That's the point of all of this happening. So keep asking those questions. Why is this happening? What's the point? What is this showing me? What does it mean? Like, why am I dealing with these questions? You're giving too much power to the writing or the spiritual work, right? Now, the other thing that's interesting for you is that there's a third element coming in here, and it hasn't arrived yet, but it seems to come through someone and they're almost like offering this to you or putting it on your desk or putting it in your lap. They're bringing it to you in a nice flow of energy, and they're saying, here, take this. And it's like, okay, you also need to be doing some of that. And it feeds the writing. So here we go again. The different things that you do in balance in your life feed the writing. When you just do the writing, you fall flat. This other opportunity coming in here seems to be almost like a teaching experience for you or some type of a group activity. All right. And it feels like play, but there is pay. So keep that in mind. Yeah. It's really not one or the other. Okay. Thank you very much, Sarah Hafner. This is a $10 question. Sarah wants to know, does my dad, Marcus, know about my baby I'm pregnant with? Is my new job I start in a week a good fit for me? I do feel, yes, of course, like your dad knows this child better than you do, because they've spent more time together than you have. So yeah, absolutely. I don't know if you're planning on using your dad's first name is the child's middle name or some variation, or your dad's middle name as the child's middle name or some variation. There's some talk of the middle name. And so that may be a consideration here. I feel like a lot of shopping going on. I feel like a lot of folding up of the baby clothes. I don't know if you're trying to do something real unisex here, like yellows and greens, and purples, and like, it's just adorable. And I feel like he's getting a kick out of watching you enjoy yourself. I also see you being sad, where you seem to be missing your father, but sort of missing the old way of life. And it feels almost like some fears here. If you're dealing with fears, you're not alone, and everything's going to be okay. You will have everything that you need. All the resources you need will be there. Things don't always come early, he says, but they won't be late. They won't be late. And your father continues to support you and protect you and provide for you, okay, from where he is. I do have a dream coming up where the two of you will spend a significant amount of time. So you may wake up from the dream and be like, God, that felt like forever. Like that lasted forever. It's probably more like 3 minutes or, whatever. But, it's significant enough. It's like when you have an encounter like that, you don't experience time in the same way that we do on Earth. And his mouth won't move. You're communicating telepathically, and it's a beautiful exchange. I think he's trying to also get you excited in this dream about some other things that are coming up for you, some things also that he's doing. Look beyond this pregnancy, he says. Look beyond, I don't know, the family, parenting, that little world, that can seem like the only world. I understand. It can, but there's more going on for you, okay? Especially with like career, expansion, money, lifestyle. There's more, okay? There's more happening and coming up. But he loves you very much. Okay, I don't know too, if there wasn't a proper goodbye, he's giving a white rose, which is like not a proper goodbye or a lack of closure surrounding his passing, and he's pulling the thorns off of that. Is your new job that you start in a week a good fit for you? Oh, well, maybe that's part of what he's talking about. Is it a good fit? I think it's a good stepping stone. I feel like you are going to feel a little bit like, the heck is wrong with some of these people or these situations here? It's just sort of like you're analyzing things. You're like, okay. You could eventually see yourself outgrowing that space. And that may be the point. It being a stepping stone, showing you what's next for you. It's definitely going to show you your power. There's no doubt about that. And I think that's probably some of what he was referring to earlier. So, but yes, I feel good about all of this as well. Congratulations and congratulations. And he loves you very much. And as he agrees. Yes. All right, let's move on to another one. This is from Emily Davis. This is a $10. You do. I love you. Emily says, what message do you have from deceased loved ones? Okay, well, we do have a gentleman coming in who feels like grandfather. I want to say on my mom's side of the family. We have another gentleman coming in, dad's side of the family may have smoked or had a cancerous condition. Some of the smoking, though, looks more like cigars than cigarettes. So he may have just enjoyed, different types of smoking in general. I also think that they have a collective message here for you. There was a lady coming through mom's side of the family, maternal energy, who may have had a cancerous condition. I can't prescribe diagnose, but I do feel something here, okay, and up being affected before her passing, and a glass of red wine. So I don't know if you were just saying like, I need a glass of wine. It's almost like wanting to, you may have a desire right now to have more meaningful conversations with people, but in a way where you can be vulnerable in saying, I'm confused. Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where things are going. What is happening? Like, I'm just generally confused, and I need this glass of wine, and I'm just going to vent and I'm just going to say it, and I'm going to be honest about where I'm at. And I'm curious to see what these elders are going to say, what these older people, these people who have wisdom and experience and years of knowledge and power under their belts. I'm curious to hear what they're going to say. You know, it's like you want that. It's like you just are, you know, you have such a desire to be in that type of company right now, and you may feel like you don't have it, you know. So they just really want you to know that you do. That's an illusion, okay? Just because they're not all literally here, you know, to do this with you in the physical human form doesn't mean they aren't having those conversations with you. Are you listening? I don't think so. I'm going to recommend the psychic mediumship course to you. Plug. I think you're capable of hearing them, but I feel like you have gotten yourself in a pattern where you're kind of talking at things. You're talking at yourself. You know, you're talking about things in such a way where you are not open to what comes after that expression. You know, you're not receiving, you're just expelling. And mediumship is all about listening for what spirit has in terms of guidance and support and confirmation. And it can come through confusing symbols and dreams, and it can be cryptic and animal totems and this and that, numerology and this and that and the other. But nonetheless, it is a language you need to learn, you know? So I feel like you need to be listening more, come out of this energy in your life. You've been there long enough. You've been there for like 3 years. Come out of this energy of putting your energy out into the world and feeling like you have to be the leader, and you have to come from ego, which can be fear, manipulation, and control, and you have to be in charge, and nobody's really got much of anything to say. Let's face it. Come out of that and get into receiving mode. Okay. I think it's going to make a world of difference. And if you've been feeling lately like there are a lot of blocks in your life, that's why. Okay. And this will also remove the blocks. I have to do this stupid puzzle thing that pops up on TikTok when they're about to disconnect me. So just hold on a minute, you guys. Let me go figure this thing out. And so random. Why does this happen? It's so sad. It's saying like, I don't know even how to do a puzzle piece. I know. I don't know. Maybe I don't. Do I care? Like, who has to do, why? I don't know what it helps. Okay. So where are we? We're back. Okay. I don't think that actually disrupted the recording. So we are going to move on to Christina B. This is a $5 question. It's centered. Okay. Christina B says, my friend Megan, who passed, okay, came into my dream recently and specifically showed me June 2nd. I would meet a man. What do you see in my future? Okay. June 2nd, Megan, this dream, what is going on? I feel like June 2nd, right, which is in a few weeks, I feel like there is a release going on. And you may find that in your current relationships and through examination of your old relationships, not just romantic, just relationships, okay, in general, you are figuring out something about yourself that needs to change. And you could move, it's up to you. it's up to your free will. You could move into an energy of denial or acceptance with that. And if you move into an energy of acceptance, it may cause some feeling of disappointment, loss, grief, regret, almost like you cheated yourself, or you settled for less than what you deserved. Or how did I not recognize that sooner? Okay. And why did I tolerate it or allow that? How did that happen? And it can really change your energy a lot, in that you become a little more reserved in how open you are to inviting other people into your world. I think the more we heal, the pickier we become. The more shadow work we do, the more detached from other humans we are. And you're entering into this very mature phase, potentially, if you choose it, if you do the work, you're entering into a new phase that gives off queen energy. And it says, instead of like princess energy, come rescue me, it gives off queen energy, which says, you're lucky to approach my throne, and maybe I'll give you a minute of my time. I don't know, but you are fortunate to be in my presence. And you're essentially making sure that people who come your way are going to earn it, as they should. Your time, attention, affection, and energy. And so that happens June 2nd. And with that, you are making room for this person to come in and cross your path. So when people talk about presenting dreams, we can have presenting dreams where we see someone ahead of time before they ever enter our lives. The grandmothers used to talk about presenting dreams in regards to babies, okay? If a baby was about to be born. But this can also happen with relationships. Mm-hmm. She loves you. Have fun. Okay, let's move on. We have another one coming in here from Nicole Bennett. This is a $10 question. Okay, so Nicole says, what do you see for my love life in 2025? 2025, Nicole Bennett. Are we in 2025? Yeah, we're in 2025. Yeah. Okay, 2025, Nicole Bennett, love life. Feels a little dry. I mean, I'm not going to be, and then like, who's that? And this jokester. I don't know. I feel like, okay. You may be losing patience. You may be like, is this all that's out there? You may be looking around and being like, this can't be it. This can't be it. And it is. And you're shifting your focus. It's almost like, if this is it, I don't want it. It's like, what else could I put my time and energy into, affection into, look, what else? And so that could happen. I see that happening at the halfway mark. And then for about 2 months after that, going into, I guess that would be what, the third quarter of the year, right? So it's happening right about there. And then I think after that, you seem to have a flood of activity coming in. So I see you on a sailboat. Now, I don't know, maybe you do go on a sailboat. Maybe this is a symbol. I'm assuming it's more of a symbol, but it could be any kind of boat. I mean, you could find yourself out on boats. I think that it being in my symbol base, it represents the potential for marriage, monogamy, cohabitation, a long-term commitment. It could be, if you are open to any of those things. That's what the symbol of the boat means in my readings. And so I think this is sort of a double meaning here, where you may be spending quite a lot of time on the water, but this is also coming in closer toward you. Now, when I see this rush of people coming in, I see 5, but they're not all of the same value. Seems like the third one is the one I'm most tempted to look at here. So the first one coming in, it may be like, oh, wow, yeah, okay, interesting. And then it's a quick no, something happens. Something is said. And that's a shutting the door, a quick no. Second one comes in, and it's like, we're getting warmer. But I don't know, something's weird. Like they're not really in their head, or they're not really connecting to the conversation. They're a little absent. They're too detached. So it's like you can feel all this connection, but it's almost like they're not in on it as much as you would like. And so it's like that becomes a no. And then we've got the third, and then we've got two more coming in after that. And that's where we're getting warmer. So yeah, with that one, I want to say be careful you're not overlooking someone, because you don't feel butterflies. You don't feel a rush of energy. That's dysregulated nervous system. That's not a good sign. So you should feel peaceful. You should feel not like you can forget about them, when you're not talking to them, like, oh, that guy, I totally forgot about that person. You know what I mean? Not that bad, but definitely like, it's okay. When we're together, it's great. When we're not, it's okay. And I think of this person, but I think of them fondly, and it brings a smile to my face and peace to my heart. Not like anxiety and craziness and will they text and what are they thinking? Like none of that garbage. Okay. But it could make you say, well, I don't feel a rush. Well, I don't feel anything. And that you would be misconstruing it. Okay. So be open. Interesting. All right. Thank you. Alicia has a $15 payment. So she did like a $10 and a $5 question combined. I get what's going on here. Okay. Alicia, what do you see for love coming into my life? And will my job find more work for me to fill my part-time hours, or will I need to move on? Okay, let's take a look. All right, Alicia, let's do the job first, because that's not as much fun. Okay, so what's going on with the job? Part-time hours? I would move on. I think that you're at a point where it's like, you know what, just let me do this myself. And you remind me of a hermit crab, like bursting out of your old shell. And you are afraid of being like naked. When they come out of that shell, they're ugly and they're vulnerable and they're like, they could get eaten by a seagull or anything could happen in a moment. They have to find better shelter quick. They have to have a game plan. And you may feel like you're leaving your shell because you don't fit, waiting on whatever this company, these employers, that like you can't wait on them anymore. You know that, but you don't really know where you're going, or you're not confident in where you're going. And I think you're worried about getting tied up in something that isn't a good fit, and then what? And you're way complicating this. Like you are thinking too far ahead. The bottom line is this. Here's what you know. Okay. You've outgrown this situation and you can't stay there. The longer you stay, the worse it gets. I would also say that here's what you also know. Intuitively for the most part, but a little bit from patterns in the past. The second you get ready to leave, they're going to pull you back in. The second you get ready to go off on your own and do what you're supposed to do, they're going to have work for you. They're going to increase it. And you're going to be like, oh, thank God. And the likelihood of you going backward and backpedaling and going around this mountain again, right? Oh, this is up to you. And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you what the possibilities are and how this is going to play out, So I think what you're supposed to be acknowledging at this point is that you feel pretty ready to go off and do something else. And you need to start narrowing down how, you want to do that. But most of your answers are going to come through stepping out in blind faith and taking action. Right now, you're just stewing in it. You're not really doing anything. You're almost like praying and hoping and wishing, and it's like you're waiting on like a unicorn or a leprechaun or good luck or for God to come. And God's like, I gave you the power to do this yourself. I'm not going to do everything for you, So come out of prayer mode where you're begging and move into manifestation mode where you are going out and claiming and taking your power back. This is disempowering you, and it's not a good vibe. It's not good energy, and it's really honestly not your style. So, you know, heading out, I think would be key. But like I said, you know, the minute you go to do that, it increases. So, can we go back? I didn't answer the second part of her question. Kim, was it about love or something? Kim, you moved her question off and I wasn't done. She did a 15, so she has a part 2. Can you put it back up? What happened to my producer? Where is she? Oh, she's looking. Uh-oh. Okay. It was something about love. I'll add on. I'll give you, Alicia, I'll fix it. I'll add on another minute for that. Okay. Okay, what do you see for love coming into my life? Okay, thank you, Kim. What do I see for love coming into your life for Alicia? I think honestly, it feels like your work and your money and your resources and your sense of power, or this feeling of being disempowered is really staving off love. We like to think of life as being categories. That's how society trained us. You've got work over here, and work has nothing to do with family. And then you've got your love life, and that has nothing to do with either one. And then you've got your health, and that's in its own category. And these things never meet. And that's complete BS. Life is a spider web. Everything is connected. And if you have a big gaping hole in one area, like not feeling empowered and being in alignment with where you ought to be, not getting rid of things you need to get rid of, not making the changes that you need to make, you have basically a big hole in your spider web, right? And it can't sustain a storm. It can't be a safe haven, a home for you. And when you're in that energy, you radiate that vibe. And when you radiate that vibe, you attract losers who want to be in that type of space because they understand it, either as manipulators or homosexuals or whatever the case is. We don't want to find out what the case is, right? So it's doing what you need to do in these other areas of your life where you are becoming more empowered, and the work thing will trigger that in multiple areas. It's a really good place to start. And as you feel better about yourself and your life and where it's going and things like this, you will attract better. You may be attracting someone who is either from your past. I can't tell if this person is from your past or there's past life connection. I want to say it this way. There's past life connection between the two of you, but it seems like you've crossed paths. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you dated. I just mean like you have been in the vicinity of others. I've had this with a couple people I got involved with, and I always saw that as a major factor in my decision to date them seriously or get in a relationship. If we freakishly lived in the same spot, or we were in New York at the same exact time in the same area, or we had dates that matched, we had, you know, all these synchronicities that show, yeah, maybe you haven't been spending actual time together in this life, but you could have over and over and over again, and then it happened. And there's past life connection. So you're comfortable, you feel extremely familiar with this person, like you've known them forever. You're picking right back up where you left off. But it could feel more like a friendship, okay? But this person wants something more out of you. So it could be a little bit of a slow go, and it could seem more like a friendship. And they could be a little bit reserved, a little bit shy, maybe even about telling you that. But there's really no hiding it. It's like comical to even, there's no hiding it. I don't know if this person's trying to kind of play it cool, you know, but they're a mess for you. And I think that I think you should have some fun with it. I think you could use someone kind of falling all over you. You know what I mean? for a while. You deserve it. So yeah, it looks good. Okay. Yeah, get things moving. Get things moving. I would say 6 to 7 months with that. All right, we're going to move on to another one. This is coming in from Anne Marie. This is a $10. And okay, so Anne Marie says, I'm looking to hear from Dan. He passed away. Any messages or guidance on my life in general? Okay, from Dan. Any guidance on your life? You know, he puts the two of you at a bar. And it's like one of these old bars, you know, there's like chips in the bar, like the woodwork, you know, a little sticky, you know, and he slides this big beer, has the bartender slide this big like beer, like a mug of beer with a lot of like foam, you know, at the top over to you. And he says he wishes, right? This is what you guys could be doing. And you may be wishing for this as well, that you could just be sitting there having a beer. And he's a real laid back guy, but he had a lot of ideas. And while he could jump from topic to topic, I think that if you could manage to follow through with the conversation, he had a lot of depth to him. And his perception on things was and is and will always be that you have to do what's best for you, and you have to be genuine and true to your soul, true to your spirit, true to yourself, true to who you are. And if you never abandon that, you will always land on your feet. You can screw up a lot. It can take you into a lot of wild places, down some dark, dirty roads, right? Leave you in the woods, in the forest, and you have no clarity for periods of time. It's not always fun, but you will land on your feet. You will be able to, as long as you don't abandon yourself. And it's almost like he's sitting back and he's kind of like saying this stuff to you at the bar, and you're drinking your beer and you're feeling frustrated. You know, it's like you're at this point where you're like, I want answers, you know, or I want a little more guidance. And I don't feel like you're maybe as frustrated as you are disappointed, or you're feeling kind of heavy about things, or maybe a little bit isolated or alone. I don't want to say like depressed. I wouldn't go that far. I don't think you're, you know, and I can't prescribe a diagnosis, but I don't think it's that deep. I just think, you know, you're ready for something more, and you're missing, you know, that vibe. It may be hard to replace this kind of vibe. And he just is trying to remind you that anytime you want to talk to him, just visualize that, right? You're sitting at the bar, no one else is there, you know, just bartender having a beer, and he is always here making time for that. I feel like, you know, he has time for you indefinitely also. There's sort of this ongoing dialogue. This is a little hard to explain as a medium, but I think you'll get what I'm saying. Your conversation is happening all the time. It's not an in and an out. It's not go in to have a seance. It's not go in to get a message from him. It's not go to sleep to have a dream with him there. It's happening constantly. It's like being in a state of awareness. You know, some people pray and they go in and out of their connection with God, and other people stay in God energy and they just make sure they never detach from it. You know, it's like that. You guys have this consistent flow of communication. And I'm not saying he doesn't have that with anybody else. I mean, but he talks about how special that is with you. And I do sort of wonder if he doesn't have that going on, you know, with anybody else. It's very special. It's not something to overlook, that you'll see a bird at just the right time, and the wind and a breeze comes in at just the right time, right? And it's he shows me, what is that movie with Tom Hanks? Forrest Gump, where like the feather came in and it landed on his shoe, and the feather followed him throughout the entire movie or his entire life. Or, you know, it's very much an ongoing dialogue and conversation. And what he's talking about is that you guys have something special. Well, it can't be replaced, nor would either of you really want to even try to replace it with somebody else. But continuously honoring what you have is really important, you know, right now. And I do feel like in the upcoming, he also says like 2 years, it's almost like you are Forrest Gump going out running. I don't remember the whole movie, but I think when Forrest went out running, he didn't really know where the hell he was going, right? Wasn't that the point? Was that there was no point? Like it felt good. It's like you got these new shoes and you're hitting the road. It's like you're hitting the road. You're going off into new territory for the next 2 years. And what I do think you're going to find, whether it's like travel and adventure, which is going to be interesting for sure, but it's like meeting new people and meeting members of your soul tribe. And that doesn't mean that they may end up being like your BFF or whatever, but those encounters are going to be really significant. And he's kind of communicating through those people and reminding you, as you meet those people, that like life goes on and there is more of that to be had, even though this is special. He loves you very much. Sit back, drink your beer, relax, and just let things unfold. You're processing a lot right now and you're getting ready to head out into some new territory and it's exciting. He loves you very much. All right. Thank you, Anne Marie. We have another one here from Heather Zeputil. I'm going to butcher that. Sorry about that. Never mind. Heather Z. All right. This is a $5. So Heather says, do you see me getting the dog I met last weekend? His name is Scooter. Do I see you getting the dog? This feels like fairly debatable. There may be a lot of hands in the pot with this situation, which makes it like not a destiny charted reading. It's a free will zone, so it's debatable. But ultimately, it feels like even if somebody else is trying to or may get in the way of it, like someone who already knows Scooter or someone who has more access to Scooter, someone who's like family of Scooter, like a second cousin of Scooter. I don't know. There's something weird going on with they already know about the dog, or they know someone who knows about the dog. There's this situation where that may fall through. And then it feels like it's you, like you're up next in line. I also think that you're putting out a lot of energy. And I love seeing this because so many people are confused about how to manifest. Just do this. You've got your hooks, you just energetically, like Heather's got her hooks in Scooter, and it's like, I want this dog. I want this dog. I want this dog. This is my dog. Okay. Like come to me, dog. And I think highest likelihood as of today, probably ballpark 72% is that it will go that way. Okay. So keep doing your thing. Regardless, I see you coming out of the situation, either way that it goes. I see you coming out feeling a sense of completion, feeling fulfilled, but yeah, highest likelihood, I think it will. There is something in the way though. I'm not going to sugarcoat. Yeah, there is. 2 people, I think they're together. I don't think I'm looking at 2 separate situations. I think I'm looking at 2 people that are collective together. All right. Thank you, Heather. Good luck. Manny C has a $10. Okay, so Manny wants to know, hi Ivy, does Reverend Bruce in spirit have a message for me? Okay, I see. And then he has a $5 question added on to this. And with that question, he says, will my sore legs get better soon from overdoing exercises on the leg machine? That seemed funny, and then it's a kind of not. Let me go with that first, since I'm in it. I think that you may have really pushed it. You may have really pushed it. I don't want to say, I can't prescribe a diagnosis. I don't want to say tearing necessarily, but I do think you need to be more mindful. Now, I don't even think you were necessarily tired when you went there. I don't know that you were out of whack in some way and you were like, oh, well, I'm just going to push it anyways. I'm going to go have this intense workout, even though I know I'm not up for it today. It doesn't seem that way. It seems like this was fairly familiar territory to you. And, you may have just gone to a point where you have some tearing. But I think that you're learning a lot about what is it, creatine? What is the recuperation, the powder? When I was a trainer, I never took it and I never gave it to anybody, but you may be wanting to do more with restoring your muscles after workouts than what you did in the past, or taking it into consideration or things like that. And going forward, you may also, want to look at alternatives to doing something like that, whether it be like more stretching, eating certain foods, spending more time in like a sauna, with dry or wet, like heat. What else can you do to kind of speed up the repair? You may need to give your body a little bit of extra TLC after things like this. And that's okay. So it's a little bit of a wake-up call, but yes, you will recoup. I will be honest though, I feel like you could have some setbacks if you push this too far. And so what I mean is, like, especially if you're like getting in and out of the car, you're running errands, there's a lot of weird like up and down movement. Stairs could count. Okay. Just be careful that you're not backpedaling with it. Let's get into the first part of your message here. Reverend Bruce, does he have any messages for you? He has a great way of, like, he puts his arm around you and I feel like you guys are friends, but he also has this sort of old soul energy about him, almost like a mentoring type of energy. And he's slow in his speech. He's methodical in the way that he is really processing, like he's channeling information. He thinks about things before he opens his mouth. It's strategic. And I think that the amount of support, and I have to say, this is a general theme for those of you who watch the show to pick up on collective messaging and things like that, or because you just find this whole thing fascinating. I think this is the theme. Let me know if you agree, but that we are missing people. We are all feeling a general loss of relationships, whether these people are living or deceased, that we have had in the past that were meaningful to us, that fed our soul and were supportive, and we're realizing how beautiful those were and how they can't be replaced very easily, and we're hoping to find more of that. But it's like you guys, have this great way of not saying anything, and he knows exactly where you are. He knows exactly what you want to hear. He knows exactly what you need to hear, and he channels it for you. Okay. So what he's saying is, thank you for keeping the candle lit. Okay. And he's showing 2 candles. So I don't know if it was just his like death date or his birth date, or if it's your birth date and his birthday, or it's like his passing anniversary and your birthday. I don't know, something. Okay. They're like anniversaries and birthdays, or like important dates, going on right around this time. But it's like you keep the candle lit for him. And what he means by that is that you are always sort of connecting with him, mentally, verbally. You could call it prayers, I guess. I think it's just conversation between the two of you. Blessings. And he wants you to remember that that's still happening. So the same way that you never would sometimes say anything to him about what was going on with you, but he would channel and say just the right thing that you needed to hear in a freakish, beyond synchronistic manner that could have only been the universe. It could only be God. It's like he made a believer out of anyone, but he had to have that connection. He also had to have that connection with the person, or he says it this way: the person had to be ready. And I don't even think he fully understood what he was doing, but the person had to be ready to receive it in order for it to come through him. And it seems like you always really, for the most part were. And so it's a mutual admiration. Okay. Anyways, he just wants you to remember that he's constantly sending you signs and symbols. And right now, I think his messages are to not be afraid to take flight, because he shows you like a bird. He may be sending you birds, but I mean, like, you are the bird, like as a totem. And it looks like you're almost going from being a mourning dove, if you've been going through a period of time where you felt like your world shrinking you, to being more like a hawk and then an eagle. Like you're getting ready to spread your wings and go out into some new territory in life. And you shouldn't be afraid of change. You shouldn't be afraid of doing new things. Like that is life. Okay. It's important, even if you have to invest in it, even if it's going to cost some money. And you may be feeling some detachment also from loved ones, like setting boundaries. And he's encouraging that as well. He loves you very much. I feel like you have like a brotherhood here. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if in past life you were siblings and possibly something in the military. Very interesting. Interesting relationship. Okay, tons of love. Thank you, Manny. Oh, we're at time. Okay. If we are at time, then I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. If you guys tuned in tonight, just know how much I appreciate you. Like I said, I have reduced these shows so that people only get 2 questions per person, but I have increased. So instead of just doing shows a couple times a month, I am now doing them every single week. Now, this upcoming week, I will be back here for the Unbound Sage, and that's going to be Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And that's where you guys drop $10 donation and I deliver out whatever message to you need to hear. So set your calendar, set the alert too. Okay, if everyone could please, before you go, give this video a thumbs up, share it, drop a comment of any kind. Let me know where you're tuning in from. And please do subscribe, okay? And I will see you guys for that. If you need to book a party, a psychic fair, or reading with me in the meantime, go to Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium.com. Thank you so much for the hearts on TikTok. And if you want to learn how to do what I just did, go to psychicmediumshipcourse.com. It is an innate ability. It is not a gift. And I train people from all over the world, all walks of life. It's not a big deal. Okay. Hope to see you there for that. Thank you, Kim. Kim did a great job. She's a new producer. Awesome. Thanks so much, Spirit. Have a great night, everybody.